Driverly.com, unlimited drama series.
Nothing says marital bliss quite like finding your wife's phone buzzing with a text that reads, "Once he inherits, I'll finally be yours." Right there, sitting pretty above our grocery list that still had milk and bread on it, like we were some normal couple planning a normal week. I'm Jake Morrison, 42 years old, and until 3 minutes ago, I thought my biggest problem was explaining to my wife Lena why my latest business venture, a food truck specializing in gourmet hot dogs, had gone belly up faster than a dead fish in July. Turns out, Lena had bigger plans than worrying about my entrepreneurial failures. The text was from Greg Hoffman. Yeah, that Greg Hoffman. Lena's ex-boyfriend from college, the same smooth-talking poker player who'd shown up at our barbecue last month with his fake Rolex and his practiced smile. The guy who'd made jokes about my cute little business attempts while eyeing my wife like she was the last slice of pizza at a frat party. I set the phone down carefully, my hands surprisingly steady. 20 years of marriage, and this is what it comes to: a text message and a grocery list, side by side on a cracked iPhone screen. "Jake, did you see my phone?" Lena called from upstairs. Her voice had that particular tone, the one she used when she was pretending everything was normal, while probably planning my demise. "It's down here," I called back, my voice equally casual. Just buzzed with something. I heard her footsteps quicken on the stairs. Lena appeared in the kitchen doorway, her dark hair pulled back in that messy bun she wore when she was stressed. She looked beautiful even now, even knowing what I knew. "Thanks," she said, snatching the phone a little too quickly. Her eyes scanned the screen, and I watched her face go through a series of micro-expressions. Panic, calculation, then forced calm. "Everything okay?" I asked, leaning against the kitchen counter with my coffee mug. Inside, I was screaming. Outside, I was the picture of suburban husband tranquility. "Just work stuff," she said, already typing a response. "You know how demanding the partners can be." Lena worked at Blackstone and Associates, one of the fancier law firms in town. She'd clawed her way up from paralegal to junior associate over the past 5 years, and I'd been proud of her. Supported her through the long hours, the stress, the constant complaints about her male colleagues getting ahead faster. Apparently, she'd found her own way to get ahead. "I'm going to run some errands," she announced, already grabbing her purse. "Maya called. She needs money for textbooks." Maya, our 19-year-old daughter, was in her sophomore year at State. Smart kid, thankfully took after her mother in the brains department and me in the sarcasm department. A dangerous combination. "How much?" I asked. 300 should cover it. I nodded, watching Lena's face. She was lying. Maya had called me yesterday about textbooks, and I'd already sent her money through Venmo. But I just smiled and said, "Sure thing." After Lena left, I sat in our kitchen with its outdated appliances and the coffee stain on the counter that we'd been meaning to fix for 2 years, and let the reality sink in. My wife was cheating on me with Greg Hoffman, and apparently, they were waiting for me to inherit something before making their move. The inheritance part was interesting, considering my parents had died 3 years ago and left me exactly jack squat, except for their debt and a collection of ceramic roosters that I'd donated to Goodwill. My only living relative was my Uncle Frank, who lived in a trailer park in Nevada and spent his Social Security checks on scratch-off tickets and beer. So what inheritance were they talking about? I spent the rest of the morning doing what any rational person would do. I made fake debt collection letters. My computer skills weren't terrible. You pick up a few things when you've started and failed at 6 different businesses in 10 years. I created letterhead for Morrison and Associates Debt Recovery and typed up some official-looking notices about overdue payments, defaulted loans, and pending legal action. Then I left them scattered around the house where Lena would find them. If she wanted to wait for an inheritance, she could wait for one that would never come. The first letter was from a business loan for $40,000, with interest accumulating daily. I left it on the kitchen counter next to the coffee maker. The second was a notice about our mortgage being in default. That one went on her nightstand. The third was the masterpiece, a letter from a collection agency claiming I owed $80,000 in business debts and that they were prepared to seize all marital assets. I tucked that one into her briefcase. Then I waited. Lena came home around 6. carrying takeout from that expensive Thai place she liked. She was actually humming, as she unpacked the containers. "How was your day?" she asked, not looking at me. "Oh, the usual. Contemplating my failures, wondering why my food truck idea didn't work out, thinking about the future." She paused in her unpacking. "Jake, we've talked about this. You can't keep dwelling on—" She stopped mid-sentence. She'd spotted the first letter. I watched her face go pale as she read it. Her hands actually shook a little. "Jake," she said carefully, "what is this?" I looked over her shoulder, feigning surprise. "Oh, that. Yeah, I meant to tell you about that. It's from the food truck loan. Apparently, they want their money back. $40,000. Plus interest. Funny how that works." She stared at the letter, then at me. "You didn't tell me about this." "I'm telling you now." That night, I pretended to sleep while Lena tossed and turned beside me. Around midnight, I heard her get up and go to the bathroom. The soft glow of her phone screen leaked under the door. She was texting Greg, no doubt. Probably something like, "We have a problem." Good. Let them have a problem. The next morning, Lena found the second letter, then the third. By the time she discovered all my fictional debts, she looked like she'd seen a ghost. "Jake," she said over breakfast, her voice tight, "we need to talk." "About what?" "About the fact that you apparently owe over $100,000 and didn't think to mention it." I sipped my coffee slowly. "It's complicated." "Complicated?" "Jake, they're talking about seizing our assets. They could take the house." "Yeah, that would be unfortunate." She stared at me like I'd grown a second head. "Unfortunate? Jake, this is serious. We could lose everything." "We could," I agreed. "Of course, if something happened to me, you'd be free and clear. Life insurance would cover the debts and you could start fresh." The color drained from her face completely. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that sometimes things work out in unexpected ways." That afternoon, while Lena was at work, probably having a panic attack, I drove to Perkins' used cars on the edge of town. My old boss, Janice Perkins, had bought the place after she retired from the manufacturing plant where I'd worked for 8 years before my entrepreneurial phase kicked in. "Jake Morrison," she said when I walked into her office, "what brings you to my den of automotive sin?" Janice was 55, built like a linebacker, and had a vocabulary that could make a sailor blush. She'd fired me for chronic lateness, but we'd stayed friendly. She respected my hustle, even if she thought my business sense was questionable. "I need a favor," I said. "Those are expensive." "What kind of favor?" "The kind where you let me borrow that fancy house you're renting out by the lake for about an hour tomorrow." She raised an eyebrow. "The villa? Jake, that place rents for $2,000 a week. I just need to take some photos. Make it look like I bought it." "Why?" "Because my wife is cheating on me, and I want her to think I came into money." Janice leaned back in her chair and grinned. "Now that sounds like fun. What's the plan?" I explained the situation, the texts, the inheritance comment, my fake debt letters. Janice listened with the interest of someone who'd been through 2 messy divorces herself. "So, you want her to think you've got money after all?" "I want her to think she made a mistake, that maybe she jumped ship too early." "And then what?" "Then I destroy her." Janice's grin widened. "Jake, you magnificent bastard. You can use the house." The next day, I spent an hour at the lakeside villa taking photos. Me in front of the house. Me by the pool. Me holding fake keys and grinning like I'd won the lottery. Then, I posted them on Facebook with the caption, "Sometimes life's..." surprises you. New chapter starts now. Within an hour, my phone was ringing. "Jake?" Lena's voice was tight, confused. "I saw your Facebook post. What house is that?" "My house," I said calmly. "Well, our house now, I guess." "What are you talking about? What about the debts? Turns out Uncle Frank wasn't as broke as we thought. Funny story, actually. I'll tell you when you get home. There was a long pause. Jake, I don't understand. I know, it's been a confusing week. See you tonight. I hung up and waited for the real show to begin. Lena came home that evening with a bottle of wine and a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She'd done her hair and put on the dress she knew I liked. The blue one that brought out her eyes. The same dress she'd worn on our anniversary last year, when she'd sworn she loved me more than ever. So, she said, setting the wine on the counter with deliberate casualness, tell me about Uncle Frank. I opened the wine, taking my time with the cork. You remember Uncle Frank, right? Dad's brother? The one we always thought was a deadbeat? The one who lives in the trailer park? Lived. Past tense. I poured 2 glasses, handed her one. Turns out Frank was smarter than any of us gave him credit for. He'd been buying up mineral rights in Nevada for 30 years. Small parcels, nothing that looked valuable. Lena's eyes were locked on mine. And last month, a lithium mining company decided they needed exactly those parcels. Frank sold out for $2.7 million. The wine glass trembled slightly in her hand. $2.7 million? He died of a heart attack 2 days later. Apparently, the excitement was too much. I sipped my wine, watching her face. Left everything to me, his only nephew. Jake, that's... She set down her wine glass and moved closer to me. That's incredible. Why didn't you tell me? Well, you've been so stressed about work lately. And with all my business failures, I thought maybe I should handle this one quietly. Make sure it was real before I got your hopes up. She was close enough now that I could smell her perfume. The same perfume she'd been wearing more often lately. The same perfume that had probably been all over Greg Hoffman. So the house, she began, is ours. The debts are paid off. We're free and clear, baby. She threw her arms around me then, and for a moment, just a moment, I almost forgot why I was doing this. She felt like my wife again. She smelled like home. Then, she pulled back and looked at me with those calculating eyes I'd learned to recognize. Jake, I have to tell you something. Here it comes, I thought. The confession, the tears, the explanation about how she never meant for it to happen. I've been thinking about us, she continued, about our marriage. Yeah? I think we need some time apart. I blinked. Time apart? Just to figure things out. You know, with all the stress from your business problems and my work situation and Maya being away at college. She was talking faster now, the words tumbling out. I think maybe we both need some space to evaluate what we really want. You want to separate? Now? Right after I inherited almost $3 million? A flush crept up her neck. It's not about the money, Jake. Of course not. I've already talked to Maya about it. She understands. That hit me like a punch to the gut. You talked to Maya before you talked to me? I called her this afternoon. She's mature enough to handle this. This afternoon. Before or after you saw my Facebook post? Another flush. Jake, don't make this about timing. When were you planning to tell me? If Uncle Frank hadn't died, when would you have dropped this bomb? She looked away. I've been thinking about it for weeks. Weeks, right. I finished my wine in one gulp. So, what's the plan? You move out, we separate, and then what? Divorce? Maybe, I don't know. We'll see how the separation goes. And you'll be staying where exactly? Sandy said I could use her guest room for a while. Sandy Walsh, Lena's best friend since college. Sandy, who'd been divorced twice, and had a standing theory that all men were worthless. Sandy, who'd probably been encouraging this whole thing from the beginning. How convenient that Sandy's available. She's been a good friend, Jake. I'm sure she has. That night, Lena slept in the guest room. To start getting used to the space, she explained. I lay in our bed, my bed now, I supposed, and listened to her moving around downstairs. Around midnight, I heard the soft murmur of her voice. Another phone call. I crept to the top of the stairs and listened. I know, but the timing is terrible, she was saying. He just inherited almost $3 million. I can't just leave now. It would look... A pause. No, Greg, I haven't changed my mind. It's just complicated. We need to be smart about this. Another pause, longer this time. I love you too. Just give me a few days to figure out how to handle this. I went back to bed and stared at the ceiling until dawn. The next morning, Lena was all business. She'd made a list, an actual written list, of how our separation would work. "I think we should keep this amicable," she said over coffee. "For Maya's sake." "Amicable? Sure. I'll take half the furniture, obviously. And we'll need to figure out how to split the inheritance." "The inheritance?" "Well, it came during our marriage. In most states, that makes it marital property." I stared at her. "You want half of Uncle Frank's money." "I think that's fair, don't you? I mean, I've supported you through all your business ventures. I've been the stable income in this family for years. The stable income that wants to leave. Jake, don't be bitter about this. We can handle this like adults." "Right."
200 messages, deleted photos, a folder called Don't Open.
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
"Adults." She consulted her list again. "I think we should tell people that this is mutual, that we both decided we needed space. And Maya? Maya will understand. She's smart. She's 19, Lena. Her parents are splitting up right after her dad inherited a fortune. You don't think she's going to have questions about the timing? We'll explain it to her together." I nodded slowly. "When do you want to move out?" "This weekend, if that's okay. Sandy's expecting me." "This weekend? You've got this all planned out. Jake, I'm trying to make this as easy as possible for everyone." Everyone. Right. That afternoon, while Lena was at work, I drove back to Janice's car lot. "How'd the photos work?" she asked when I walked in. "Better than expected. She wants to separate." "Ah, the old, I want half your money, but none of your problems routine." Something like that. "So what's next in the Jake Morrison revenge tour?" I pulled out my phone and showed her Lena's Facebook page. She'd posted a status update that morning. "Sometimes life takes you in unexpected directions. Excited for new beginnings." "She posted that this morning," I said. 3 hours after she told me she wanted to separate. Classy. It gets better. Check out the comments. Janice scrolled through the responses. Most were the usual supportive friend comments, but one stood out. Greg Hoffman had written, "You deserve all the happiness in the world." Subtle, Janice said, right? So here's what I'm thinking for phase 2. I outlined my plan. Janice listened with the enthusiasm of someone who'd spent her whole life dealing with cheating spouses and lying customers. "Jake," she said when I finished, "you're either a genius or completely insane. Why not both?" That evening, I helped Lena pack her things. She moved through our house like she was shopping, selecting items with careful consideration. The good towels, the expensive coffee maker, the painting we'd bought on our honeymoon in Mexico. "You sure you want that?" I asked, nodding at the painting. "It has sentimental value." "Does it?" She paused in her packing. "Jake, I know this is hard, but I really think this is best for both of us." Both of us. You'll see. Once we have some space, some time to think clearly, we'll what, get back together? Maybe. Or maybe we'll realize we're better as friends. Friends who split $3 million. Jake, please don't make this about money. Right, it's about space and clarity and new beginnings. She looked at me sharply. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just that I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for. Saturday morning, Sandy arrived with a U-Haul trailer and a smile that was probably supposed to be sympathetic, but looked more like triumph. "Jake," she said, giving me an awkward hug, "I'm sorry it's come to this." Sandy was 38, blonde, and had the kind of aggressive cheerfulness that made you want to check your wallet after talking to her. She'd been telling Lena for years that she deserved better than me. "Thanks for helping her out," I said. "That's what friends are for." I helped them load Lena's things into the trailer. Clothes, books, kitchen items, half our furniture. 20 years of marriage, reduced to a U-Haul trailer and a list of who gets what. "I'll call you about the legal stuff," Lena said as they prepared to leave. "The legal stuff?" "The separation agreement, division of assets. You know, right, the assets." She hesitated for a moment, like she might say something else. Something real. Something that acknowledged what we'd had together. Instead, she got in Sandy's car and drove away. I stood in my driveway, watching the U-Haul trailer disappear around the corner, and smiled. Phase 2 was about to begin. Sunday morning, I called Maya. "Dad, how are you holding up?" My daughter's voice was careful, gentle, She was worried about me, which made what I had to do even harder. I'm okay, sweetheart. How much did your mom tell you? Just that you guys needed some space. That it wasn't about not loving each other, just about figuring things out. And what do you think about that? A pause. Honestly, the timing seems weird. I mean, you just inherited all that money from Uncle Frank, and now Mom wants to separate? Smart kid. Too smart for her own good sometimes. Maya, I need to tell you something. But I want you to hear it from me first, okay? Okay. Your mom's been seeing someone else, someone from her past. Silence on the other end of the line. Dad, are you sure? I'm sure. Who? Greg Hoffman. You remember him from the barbecue last month? The poker guy with the fake watch? That's the one. More silence, then. Oh, Dad. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault, sweetheart. Is that why she wanted to separate? To be with him? I think so. But Maya, there's something else you should know. Something about the inheritance. What about it? I took a deep breath. And there's no inheritance. What? Uncle Frank is alive and well and still living in his trailer. I made the whole thing up. Dad, what are you talking about? I found out about your mom and Greg, and I wanted to see what she'd do. So I created some fake debt letters, made her think we were broke. Then I faked the inheritance to see if it would change her mind. Oh my God, Dad. She was going to leave me either way, Maya. But when she thought I was broke, she couldn't wait to get out. When she thought I was rich, suddenly she wanted half of everything. This is insane. I know how it sounds. Dad, you catfished your own wife. Technically, I think it's called fraud. But yes. Maya was quiet for a long moment. So there's no money? No money. No house by the lake. No mineral rights. Just me, in our regular house, with our regular mortgage, and my regular string of failed businesses. And Mom doesn't know? Not yet. What's she going to do? I'm going to tell her, eventually. But first, I want to see how far she's willing to go for money that doesn't exist. Dad, I know it's not right, Maya, but your mother was planning to leave me anyway. She was just waiting for the right moment. The inheritance didn't change her feelings. It just changed her timeline. This is so messed up. I know. And I'm sorry you're caught in the middle of it. But I needed you to know the truth. Does anyone else know about the fake inheritance? Just Janice Perkins. She helped me with the photos. Dad, what if Mom finds out? What if she calls Uncle Frank? She won't. Your mom hasn't spoken to Uncle Frank in 15 years. She thinks he's a loser, remember? But what if... Maya, I've thought this through. I know it's crazy, but I need to do this. I need to know who your mother really is. I think you already know. That afternoon, I got a text from Lena. Can we meet for coffee tomorrow? We need to talk about the separation agreement. I texted back, sure. Starbucks on Main at 2? Perfect. See you then. Monday at 2 o'clock, I walked into Starbucks to find Lena already there, sitting at a corner table with a manila folder in front of her. She'd dressed professionally. Dark suit, hair pulled back, the look she wore when she meant business. Hi, she said as I sat down. And hi? How are you doing? I'm fine. How's Sandy's guest room? It's fine. She opened the folder. Jake, I've been thinking about how to handle this, and I think I've come up with something fair. Fair. I talked to one of the partners at my firm, off the record, of course, and he helped me put together a basic separation agreement. She slid a document across the table. I glanced at it without picking it up. What's the summary? 50-50 split of all marital assets, including the inheritance. I keep my car, you keep yours. We split the furniture we haven't already divided. The house gets sold and we split the proceeds. And debts? Split equally as well. Seems straightforward. I think it's fair, Jake. I'm not trying to take advantage of you. I almost laughed. Of course not. There is one other thing. She reached into her purse and pulled out another document. I think we should also consider divorce. Divorce? I know we said separation first, but honestly, I think we both know this marriage is over. We've been growing apart for years. The inheritance just forced us to face reality. The inheritance forced us to face reality. Jake, please don't repeat everything I say. This is hard enough. Sorry, continue. I think a clean break would be better for everyone. We divide everything now, file for divorce, and move on with our lives. Move on with our lives. You did it again. Sorry. She leaned forward. Jake, I know you're angry, but we can handle this like adults. We don't have to destroy each other. Destroy each other? That's an interesting phrase. What do you mean? Nothing. Just that destruction comes in many forms. She studied my face. Are you okay? You seem different. Different how? I don't know. Calmer than I expected. Maybe I'm just relieved. Relieved? That we're finally being honest with each other? Something flickered in her eyes. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. Just that honesty is refreshing. We sat in silence for a moment. Around us, the coffee shop buzzed with normal Monday afternoon activity. Students with laptops, business people on phone calls, mothers with strollers. Normal people living normal lives. So, Lena said finally, what do you think about the agreement? I think I need to have a lawyer look at it. Of course, that's smart. And I think we should wait on the divorce. Wait? Why? Because separation and divorce are two different things. If we're going to end 20 years of marriage, I want to be sure. Jake, I'm sure. But I'm not. She closed the folder. How long do you want to wait? A few months, see how the separation goes. Months? Is that a problem? No, it's just, I thought you'd want this over with as quickly as possible. Why would you think that? Because you hate complicated situations. You always want everything resolved immediately. Maybe I'm changing. Maybe. That evening, I called Janice. How'd the coffee meeting go? She wants a divorce. 50-50 split of everything, including the fake inheritance. Greedy. Gets better. She's already talked to a lawyer at her firm. She's been planning this. For weeks, apparently, maybe months. So, what's next? I think it's time to meet Greg Hoffman. Tuesday evening, I drove to Murphy's Tavern on the south side of town. It was the kind of place that served beer in bottles and didn't ask questions about why you needed to drink alone on a Tuesday night. Greg was exactly where I expected him to be. At the poker table in the back room, wearing his fake Rolex and his practiced smile. I bought a beer and watched him play for about an hour. He was good, not great, but good enough to win more than he lost. He had tells, though. A slight twitch in his left eye when he was bluffing. A tendency to touch his watch when he had a strong hand. Around 9 o'clock, he took a break and came to the bar. Jake Morrison, he said, sliding onto the stool next to me. Fancy meeting you here. Greg, how's the poker treating you? Can't complain. You play? A little. Nothing serious. He ordered a whiskey neat. I heard about you and Lena. I'm sorry, man. Are you? Marriage is tough. Sometimes people grow apart. Sometimes they do. For what it's worth, I think you're handling it well. A lot of guys would be making a scene, causing drama. Drama's not really my style. I respect that. Shows maturity. I sipped my beer. Greg, can I ask you something? Sure. How long have you been sleeping with my wife? He went very still. The whiskey glass stopped halfway to his mouth. Excuse me? It's a simple question. How long? He set down his drink and turned to face me fully. Jake, I think you've got the wrong idea. Do I? Lena and I are friends. Old friends, that's all. Friends who text about inheritances? His left eye twitched. I don't know what you're talking about. Sure you do. Once he inherits, I'll finally be yours. Ring any bells? The color drained from his face. Jake, listen. No, you listen. I kept my voice calm, conversational. I know about you and Lena. I know you've been planning this. I know you're waiting for me to die or divorce her so you can get your hands on Uncle Frank's money. That's not... Here's the thing, Greg. Uncle Frank didn't leave me any money. What? There is no inheritance. No mineral rights. No $2.7 million. I made it all up. He stared at me. You're lying. Am I? Call Uncle Frank yourself. He's in the phone book. Frank Morrison, Sunny Acres Trailer Park, Henderson, Nevada. But the house, the photos. Borrowed the house for an hour. took some pictures, posted them on Facebook. Amazing what you can accomplish with a little creativity. Greg's face went through several expressions: confusion, disbelief, then dawning horror. So you know, he said finally. I know. How long? Does it matter? He picked up his whiskey and drained it in one gulp. What are you going to do? That depends. On what? On how much you really love her. What do you mean? I stood up and dropped a 20 on the bar. I mean, Greg, that love should be about more than money. If you really love Lena, you'll be with her whether she's rich or poor, married or divorced. Jake, but if this was all about the inheritance, if you were just waiting for the payday? I shrugged. Well, then I guess you'll have to decide what she's really worth to you. I started to walk away, then turned back. Oh, and Greg? I'd be careful about that tell. The eye twitch when you're bluffing? Dead giveaway. I left him sitting at the bar, staring into his empty glass. The real fun was about to begin.